guys, Kit here. So, as I mentioned, we are doing I'm going to be doing an acrylic pour today, and I'm going to be using a recipe by Julie Cutts, who is Australian, and she has a channel on YouTube called Pouring Your Heart Out, and she's great video tutorials. I highly recommend it. So I've got my canvas here, and on the flip side I've got push pins in it, so to keep it raised off the surface. I'm using little baking sheets here. Cheap. This is dollar store stuff here. And also this is another dollar store item. This is a measuring cup. Let's see, I think it's 16 ounces. And I've made a pouring medium in this. And this is 60% Elmer's glue and 40% water. And today I've used distilled water just because I had some around. And we'll see if we'll never know if it makes any difference, I guess. Well, maybe we will or not, I don't know. But, so, what I'm doing now is I'm just about to mix my colors. And I've decided on my palette of colors, which is going to be a gold and an olive green and a light blue and a little bit of a cranberry plum. Might warm that up a bit. And definitely some white. Maybe even some parchment white. We'll see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix my pouring medium with the paint. And since these are tubes, that's a heavy flow. So we're going to mix it 1-to-1, but we may need to add a little bit more water because these paints are so thick. So I'm going to get started mixing these paints up. Bring you back in a minute. Okay? Okay, so I have been mixing my color with the pouring medium, and it's so important to get the consistency right. This takes a while. There's just no way to shortcut this because the consistency of your paint is so important. It will be the difference between a successful pour and one you just want to just scrape right off. So this mixture is, I started with 1-to-1 pouring medium to paint. And so what I do is I put the paint in the bottom first and then pour the pouring medium over it. This is a color I'm just going to use a little bit of. So it seems like that way you have a little bit more control. But the best way, of course, is to use a scale. And then you really can figure out where it is. You can also make marks on the glass or the cup. So here's the trick. The trick is, and I'm so happy to learn this. This is from Julie. Hold your tongue depressor about 1 inch away from the surface. And just drag it across and see how long that imprint lasts. It should last for about 3 seconds before it disappears. If it's less than that, your paint might be too thin. So this is right on the borderline. I think this might be a little too thin. This one I think is right on. Maybe even a little too thick. You see it, there's an impression that's even lasting a little longer. And I can show you white, but of course you can't see white. Can you? Yeah, this is good. Maybe this might be too thick too. Because what happens is the paints thicken as the evening wanes, as it is here. So this is my blue. I've got a lot more of this than I need, but it's because I started out a little too thick. Now I will have some left over of this paint, but that's okay because I can use press and seal. Just put it over the paint, and this will last for days, if not weeks. I would say it's almost the biggest part of this technique is to mix the paints correctly. And so these are just mixed. I have not put any silicone in them yet, but I'm going to. That's my next thing. And then I am going to I'm going to layer the paint into 2 cups. Yeah, that's pretty good. Some colors are thicker than others. Blacks are really thick. Golds seem to be really thick too. Although this looks pretty good right now. Okay, so here are all my colors, and now what I'm going to do is put silicone in each cup. And this is the magic stuff. Silicone, this is treadmill belt lubricant. This is, I don't know, maybe $12, $15 on Amazon, but this will last you for a lifetime because you're only using several drops in each cup at each color at a time. So let me show you. I'm just going to be very carefully putting 3 drops, in each color. And it's easy to overdo this, and really, it does not take much to get the effects of this silicone oil. So it's better to really try to, oh, see there's 4 drops that went in. Oops. This is needs a little tightening. And maybe just 2 drops here because this is not a lot of paint we're dealing with. Accent color. Okay. Oh, I'm going to put some in the white too. Three drops. Okay, so I'm going to mix each one of these. I'm going to mix the silicone into each one of these. And because if you don't, you're going to end up with just huge blobs of oil that just do not even work at all. And, well, this helps get the cells more uniform in terms of size and consistency. So you don't want to overmix it, but you do want to mix it. And there's a lot of opinions about this out there, but I find that it's much better if you mix it in well. I'm going to be doing some blue pours, I can see, in the next few days. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Okay. Oops. All right, so we've got the silicone mixed in to these colors, and that is going to be the thing. That silicone is the element that's going to make it's going to create the cells by making the oil sink, basically, to the bottom. And then we'll use a torch to bring it to the top, burn it off, and it's the sort of brand that it leaves, or the trace that it leaves as you burn it off with the torch are these beautiful cells. You know, it's not, you're not totally burning off all that oil, but a lot of it. Okay, so now we're ready. I'm going to put our colors to the side, sort of in the order that we're going to pour them, sort of. And here's my canvas with push pins. And I'm not going to even bother to put a sort of pillow paint or anything on this. I'm just going to go for it. So what we're going to do is we're going to layer paint in this cup. Better not to use this stick. I should be doing both of these at the same time, in fact. And so we're going to attempt to have these paints sit on top of each other in a layer. Okay. And now I think the next color should be, let's just try this. I'm going to do it a different way on this other side. Okay, I'm going to do it with gold over here. Just experimenting. And gold over here. And it looks like the paint is sitting on top of the layers very well, so that's good. And so we're going to use a little bit of the accent color. Not a whole lot of this. I can probably make enough. And when you pour it into the cup, you want to try and cover the bottom, although that is not really a very good job. So we're going to go ahead and just keep layering these paints in the cups until we've got, well, there's a formula that you can use for this size canvas. You know, it's about 8-10 ounces of paint that you're going to need to flood the canvas with paint and be able to have enough to move around and waste, because you need to have some that you're going to just waste. Okay, let's, well, be very sparing with this color. Okay, and then maybe a little bit of famous blue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a traditional flip cup on these. I'm going to flip and drag is the name of the technique. And what you do is you put these in, nestle these in your hand, the palm of your hand, and then like this. nestle, and then over. And it takes some practice. It's good to practice with an empty cup. Yep. So you get that move down, because it does make a difference. For instance, you don't want to have your hand in the way. I should just show you the empty cup here. When you flip the cup over, what you want to do is, once the paint has reached the bottom, you want to drag it off so that you don't ruin your painting with the drippings from the cup. Okay. Still got paint here, so let's go for it. Now this has silicone in it. I'm going to give you the recipe. It's fun if you have clear plastic cups, because then of course you can see the separation of the layers. I'm trying to use this paint up. At least that which will not necessarily keep, because there's so little of it. Just really scrape the crap out of those cups. Okay. That's plenty of paint. In fact, I wish I had a larger canvas. All right, let's do this. There's going to be so much leftover paint. Okay, this is the move I'm talking about. Nestle, and then flip. Nestle, flip. So what I'm doing now is I am waiting for this paint to get to the bottom of these cups. It's just draining off the sides of the insides of the cup. We are about to flip and drag these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab it, and I'm just going to flip and drag. Ooh. Just put this over to the side, maybe do some corners with it. You see that? Put that aside for a minute. And then I'm gonna flip and drag this. Hit the corner as well. And let's just hang with this. This is looking really interesting. I see some cells coming up already. And so what I've learned is you just want to let things settle for a while. And don't torch right away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jiggle this canvas. Whoops. I'm going to jiggle this canvas back and forth to get these areas to fill in. And then I'm going to tip it, and it's going to run off and make a mess. That's okay. Because what I'm trying to do is to increase the size of the cells. And you always want to come back to the center of the canvas and center the paint. And you can see the cells are already starting to grow in size. So let's... And they pretty much hang together there. They're sitting on the top of the surface of paint. And once they start to get misshapen, then you sort of have to bring the paint back and let it settle. See, these are misshapen in here, but I almost think we're ready for a torch here. You see how they're all sort of moving together. This is what you want. Is for all these cells to move together. Let's see if we can get a little more. Bring it back. Bring it back. Okay. So this is a good time to torch it. I think we're going to torch it because that's going to bring the cells out even more. But there's definitely an art to doing these corners in a way that sort of, you don't want to try and mix it with your cup. Just drag this off a little bit. Exquisite. So we do have some extra paint here. And I'm going to tee that up, but first we're going to torch this thing. So you probably can't tell what this is. It's a torch. It's a kitchen torch. Works great. What you don't want to do is get too close to your painting, your pour. When you see the little bubbles start to pop, move on to another spot. And I'm really right now about a foot to 18 inches away. This is definitely going to bring more cells to the front. You can do this more than once. Just have to keep in mind that what you're trying to do is to preserve the cells that you've created and try to increase their size. And that's a matter of going back and forth, actually. It's looking pretty interesting, actually. And so what I'm going to do is turn it around. work on it from this angle a little bit because you need to show this side some love. Gosh, there's some details I hope I don't lose here in looking at how much I'm discarding, but wow, it's looking really good, in fact. All right, let's bring this back to the center. Still just working it, see if we can get these cells larger. There's some beautiful detail over on this area right here, and I'm just wondering if I can bring it out in any way. And oh, we okay after that? That was a major move. It seems to be so. Now, what you can do at this point is to touch up any areas with paint that you have on that's dripped onto the surface. Go ahead and hit the sides with that. And you'll see that as soon as you touch it, it turns to a mud color because it all mixes together. But if you can just touch and don't move the sides of the canvas, you'll get a look that looks poured over on all sides. So this is looking really good, and I'm happy about this because this is such a simple medium. It's just glue. I'm thinking maybe try another torch. Where is that guy? Okay. So the real challenge in this medium is to let the paint do its thing, and to set yourself up for success by getting the right consistencies, using things like the torch and silicone oil, and getting the proportions correct so that you can really get some cool effects. It's still got a lot of bubbles being popped, silicone oil coming up. it's looking really good. So I'm just slowly tipping this from side to side to see if I can get these cells to come up in size. And this is again a technique from Julie, just rocking it back and forth. It's just so interesting, the effects that you get. But at a certain point, you have to say, okay, I'm done. I'm done. Because you can over-tip. You can definitely over-tip. I've seen it done so many times. I'm really liking this gold that's popping through. And what I'm also seeing is the gold is sinking, so the gold must be too heavy. It must be too thick. But I'm pretty happy with that, actually, for a glue-only recipe. It's pretty damn cool. This is weird, I can't see what I'm showing you, but not bad.
Thanks for watching. For more inspiration and video tutorials, go to YouTube videos and search Pouring Your Heart Out. This is Julie Cutt's YouTube channel, and she has loads of great tutorials. I recommend it highly. Well, thanks again, and bye for now.